Hello internet, what's up? Welcome to JS Cafe. In this video, we are going to talk about incremental static regeneration, that is iSG. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So in previous video, we finished up with SSG and we covered all the scenarios of with data, no data and fetch data on the client. If you haven't checked out that video, then check out the episode number 3 on the rendering pattern series. So this would be the final episode of this series where we will be talking about our last thing, that is iSG. And in the starting, I forgot to mention that in iSG as well, there are two scenarios where we auto revalidate and we revalidate on demand. So if you are not getting it, trust me, we'll get it there. Hold on to this video, I'll explain each and everything. And once you have a clear understanding of everything, then probably you will find what is the best rendering pattern for your project based upon the conditions that you are having. Okay, so we have discussed so far CSR, we have discussed so far SSR, we have discussed SSG. Now it's time for ISG. So before starting this particular video, I would like to give you a brief about a very interesting course I recently came across, that is from Geeks for Geeks, React.JS Basic to Advanced Self-Placed. So if we have a look at the content or the curriculum of this course, you will learn various things. So let me show you what is there in this course and why I am actually encouraging you guys to enroll yourself. So this would start with introduction, okay, like introduction to React.js, why we use React instead of JavaScript, roadmap, and other stuffs. Now you'll have the project setups like environment, dev environment, production environment setup, and other stuffs. Then comes you will start diving into the concepts, that is React basics, like what is component, what is JSX, how to handle dynamic data using props and other studs. Next is state and event handling, like how do you handle events in React, what are the states required. You'll get to introduce to use state, form handling, and what else, yeah, and handling form submission as well. And then comes the conditional rendering. This is also very important, like it is very important how you can render certain elements based on certain conditions. Then you will have good insight about the use effect. It is very important. Then you'll be having how to make API calls. Then you'll be given a project. Then you'll be also teached Redux, then multi-page SPAs, authentication, and deployment as well. So this is a whole pack, right? This is what a front-end developer would actually need when he wants to learn React.js, and that is why I am actually encouraging this particular course. And if you want to enroll yourself in this particular course, then you can use my code JS Cafe, and you will get extra 10% discount on this particular course. So do check it out, the link is in the description. Okay, now coming back to the topic, let's start with the ISG. So we have auto revalidate and on demand. And so let's go to this particular thing, what Next.js has to say about ISG. So Next.js allows you to create and update static pages after you have built your site. Incremental generation enables you to use static generation on a per page basis without needing to rebuild the entire site, right? This is what we were talking about in the previous video. So if you haven't checked that, then do check episode 3 before coming to this particular topic. Okay. In the previous video where we were discussing SSG, we talked about like whenever there is even a small change of data, you have to create a build of the entire site, and that is a time taking process. So to avoid that hassle, ISG came into the picture with a feature of revalidations. Okay, so by revalidating means that whatever page you have created, okay, for example, so we had created a page my post where we were showing all the post in a UL li tag, like over here. Now let's suppose that data is updated on the backend, and I want to show the updated data without actually building the whole website, without actually doing this particular thing, next build and next export every time. I want to make this happen automatically without my manual efforts. Okay, so you can use the concept of iSG, that is revalidations. Okay, so first of all, we will convert this into a simple SSG. We will uncomment this line and we can get rid of this and this as well, and we can do props.post, props.post.length, props.post.map. Okay, so this was one thing, and let's get rid of this as well. And this is a simple basic SSG, okay, where we have to do a next build, we have to do a next export. Okay, now in order to make this a ISG, okay, in order to make it a ISG, what do we need to do? We need to introduce this property, which is revalidate, okay, as a sibling to this props property. Okay, where we'll do it like this, revalidate. So this means that it will re-evaluate. I think this is a proper term. Re-evaluate itself after 10 seconds. But let us change it to 5 seconds for now. Okay, just for the basics. And yeah, we have this ready. And earlier what we were doing, we were doing this particular thing, export, right? We were creating a build and then exporting it and then hosting it on the uh, live server. Okay, but we can avoid that hassle as well by using a command that is next start. So I'll tell you what next start does. So next build creates a build for the production. Okay, now if you want to consume that production build on a server itself that is hosted on Next.js, you can do a next start. This will create a production server and it will fetch files from the build that was created via the next build command. Okay, so this is a simple step. So the motive was that to show you both the paths, to show you how do we do via the export and how do we do it via the next start. Okay, so this is the thing, and what all we have to do is first of all we have to clear the cache. We cleared the cache, we have the command ready, and we have revalidated it to 5 seconds, and this is a simple API call, and this was the data that we are having currently. Title 1, my post 1 updated, my post 2, my post 3. Okay, this is fine. Now let us go ahead and hit the command npm run export. Okay, so this will create a build generating, and then it started the server on localhost 3000. Now if I go ahead and refresh it, okay, I refreshed it and I again refresh it. Okay, so how can we make sure that the API calls are not actually happening when we load it? By API call, I mean this particular thing. This when we are not hitting API JSON when every time when we make the request. How can we make sure? So you can see that in this network calls, let me change it to fetch XSR. Start it. Okay, we are not seeing it here. Okay. So if a API call would have been made, we could have seen that in this particular thing, but no API call was made. And you can see that we are actually getting all of these data as a HTML in the response. Okay. So this is not making any API call on the client. One thing. Now if I refresh it again, I am still getting the same thing. Okay, now let me go ahead and edit it and change this to my post one new data. Okay, just some irrelevant stuff over here, and I hit update bin. Okay, now let us go ahead and refresh it. Okay, we didn't see that because we have to wait for 5 seconds it to happen. So let's refresh it again, and here it go. So we have this new data present over here, right? So what happened right now is that after 5 seconds, this particular page was re-evaluated, this network call was made, and a new HTML file was generated. And up until and unless the new HTML file was generated, before that, what we were served the older version. Okay, keep that in mind. And yeah, so this was the revalidation stuff where we re-evaluated the page itself after 5 seconds, or you can re-evaluate the page after n number of seconds. It is up to you. But again, this is also a costly thing, right? After n seconds you have to evaluate this page again and again. It solved the problem, right? It solved the problem of manual building, right? You don't have to create a build manually every time. The Next.js revalidate property is taking care of it, and it is rebuilding that particular page every time. Mark my words, it is revalidating this particular page where it is present. Let's suppose you have another page that is using static site generation, but that is not a ISG, means that it is not having a revalidate. So that particular page will not be reevaluated after n number of seconds. Only this particular page, my post.js, will be reevaluated. Okay, but again, this is again a expensive operation. Why? Because you are re-evaluating this particular page after n seconds, and there are high chances that after 5 seconds, for example in this case, the data might not be updated. You just consumed the resources, without any actual outcome, right? And you wasted that particular resource. Okay, this is a wastage of resource. You are re-evaluating the page after every 5 seconds, and there are chances that 80% of the time the page is not changed, the data that is coming from the API is not changed, and you wasted that resource on the server or wherever. Okay, so this is a wastage. Okay, this is valid for the pages where you are sure that after 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, or whatsoever, the data is changing. What we can think about where the data changes frequently. I guess we can talk about the Nifty charts, the Sensex chart, right? Where you are seeing that the value of Nifty or the Sensex is changing every second, up and down, up and down. So in that scenario, you can, add a reevaluate of 1 second. After 1 second, the page is again updated, again updated, again updated. But yeah, I mean that you have to, show the data without updating, without refreshing the site. Okay, that happens via the sockets actually. But you got my feel, right? What I'm trying to say, that when you are sure that the data is going to update after n seconds, then this is a perfect place for you. Okay, no matter what. But again, this, when you're not sure that when the data is going to update it, then comes the ISG on demand. Okay, we just discussed auto reevaluation. Okay, we auto reevaluated the things, and this, it was working perfectly fine for us, auto revalidate. But we have a concept of on demand as well, and this is very interesting. Okay, trust me, this will like actually open your minds, this particular concept. Okay, so bear with me, we are going to learn something very interesting. So yeah, so we are now going to discuss on demand. But yeah, so on demand mein we don't need this. Okay, we don't need this. And Let us see what Next has to tell about on-demand revalidation or reevaluation. So, what is there? This is a API code. So I'll read it out for you. If you set a revalidate time of 60, all visitors will see the same generated version of your site for 1 minute. The only way to invalidate the cache is someone visiting that page after the minute has passed. Okay. Starting with this on-demand incrementation generation to manually purge the cache for a specific page. This makes it clear to update your site when the content from headless CMS is created or updated. E-commerce metadata changes. Correct. So let me tell you one thing. Hmm. So this particular data, right? This particular data. How can we make the? So I am telling you the question over here. Okay. How can we tell Next.js that the API that this particular page is going to hit, right? The API that this particular page is going to hit has a new data. Okay. Earlier the title was my post one new data. Now the title is after 20 minutes, for example, is my post one new data 2. Okay. Now how can we tell Next.js ki, hey bro, Next.js, the data is now updated. Please reevaluate yourself. Revalidate yourself. How can we tell that? Okay, there has to be some mechanism, right? When we are saying on demand, then we have to request Next.js that, hey man, the data is now updated. Please revalidate it. Okay. You got my thing, right? This is what we have to find out. So I'll tell you how it is done. So if you have noticed that in the pages only, we have a folder called API. Okay. So in the API, we have hello.js. Okay. And let's suppose we create a new file over here. I call it revalidate.js. Okay. Revalidate.js. And this is equivalent to calling this particular thing, http localhost 3000 slash API slash file name. Okay, file name is revalidate slash revalidate, and I'll talk about this later. So this is hello.js. Okay, so how would the API look like? It would look like slash API slash hello. Okay, so what is this API folder? I will read it out for you. Okay, API routes provide a solution to build your APIs with Next.js. Okay. So this in Next.js, we can add support to add introduce APIs. Okay. Any file inside the folder pages slash API is mapped to API slash star that we talked about. Let's suppose file name is revalidate, then the API becomes slash API slash revalidate and whatsoever, and it will be treated as an API endpoint instead of a page. Okay, so once you hit this particular URL, it will not be treated as a page, as a regular page, okay, that we saw over here, like slash my, when we do slash my post, it was treated as a page, but when we do slash revalidate, it will be treated as a API. Okay, and yeah, this is it, and we have a default function written inside the folder. So if you go to this particular thing, right, hello.js, so export default function handler request response, like this is simple node.js request, right? You remember it, right? Express.js node. So it is kind of similar thing, and we are doing response.status 200 response.json name John Doe. Okay, let us try to hit this API from Postman and see how it behaves. So I will try to duplicate the tab and I will do it hello, and we will close it. We can get rid of body. Okay, this was for examples, and let us hit it. See, we got the response John Doe, right? John Doe. And if we try to do a post request, again we get a John Doe. Okay, it doesn't matter you are doing get request, post request, or whatsoever REST API you are following, it will catch it. Okay, it will catch it over here. Okay, no matter what. So you got it point, right? We, apart from running the pages, the Next.js server is also running APIs. Okay, this is very powerful thing over here. Now we have created our own API, that is revalidate.js. Now in this, what we will do, we will go and copy this code. Where it is, this particular code. Okay, we will copy this, we will paste it, and it says that check for the secret and add this in a valid request. So we want to add a secret over here. Okay, secret is JS cafe, so that if, because I'll tell you what is, let's suppose we are hosting a Next.js application on some server xyz.com. Now the developers know that since this is a Next.js application, then if we try to hit some random URLs, there are chances that you might hit some API, right? You might hit some API from the postman or whatsoever. So to protect your APIs from external intruders or malicious people, you add a secret. Okay, that is a secret between you and your Next.js project. And for me, the secret is JS Cafe. Okay, this is a parameter in the request. Now I want to check that if the secret is matching with what I have defined in my project, then only process it. Okay. So we will not add everything in the process.my environment or other stuff. We will hard code it for now. Okay. So we will take this and we will add it over here. JS Cafe. If my secret is matching, then try to do some other stuff. Now let us talk about what is happening inside this. You can see that we are doing await response.revalidate. Okay, this is part 2 revalidate. I'll tell you what. So you see that in the project we have this path. Okay, my post. Okay. Now if we want to revalidate this particular route, this particular page is associated to a particular route. Okay, we will copy this route and we will revalidate it over here. So if I do /my post, okay, when we try to run this response.revalidate, this will find a page of this particular route inside the pages folder. Okay, it will come over here and it will run this particular function, get static props for you. Okay, and when this is run, it will fetch the new data for you. Okay, this is happening on demand. Okay, so this is a thing happening over here. So when we do response.revalidate and you pass the name of the route that you want to revalidate or that you want to reevaluate, and it will be reevaluated automatically for you. This is very powerful. Okay, so what we will do is we will try to dynamically pass the value of the route. You see that I have created a body, a raw JSON, and this is in this I have a key saying part to revalidate, and I have passed my path over here. Okay, now I will take this value from over here. I will say that a const body equals to request.body, and if body is not present, then I will throw an error saying that response.400, and the message would be, what shall we say? I should say body is required. Okay, now if body is there, now we will try to fetch the path that we want to revalidate from the request. Part to revalidate equals to body.revalidate. The part to revalidate equal to body.part to revalidate. Now we will take this over here and we will pass it like this. Okay, and save it. Now once you have written this thing, you have to close your servers. Okay, close your servers, clear the cache. Now hit npm run export. This will first create a build, next build, and it will start a production server for you. Okay, server was started. Now if I go ahead and reload it, cool. So it is saying that this is same, nothing has changed. If you have a look at it, the HTML is coming in the response, and this is coming with complete data, my post 1, my post 2, my post 3. Okay, and no API call is happening. Now if I go ahead and update my data, okay, I go to here, update my data, and this I have changed it to new data in my post 2. I update it. Okay, now I know that the data was updated. But if I try to refresh it, this time my Next.js server doesn't knows that the data was updated. We have to tell Next.js that, hey Next.js, the data is updated, please reevaluate. Now how we will make sure that? So here comes this revalidate API into the picture. Now if we go to Postman, we hit the URL localhost 3000/API/revalidate. This is the name of the file, and we pass the secret as, what is the secret? Secret is JS Cafe. Secret is JS Cafe, and in the body I am telling that this is the path that we want to revalidate or revalidate. Now when we hit this API, this would hit API over here. This will hit this particular code. This code will start running, and it will check that if the secret is matching. If it is not matching, throw some error. Now extract body, extract path to revalidate, and hit response dot revalidate. Once this code will be hit, it will go to this particular file, it will run this particular command, it will hit the API, it will fetch the new data, and it will update this page. Okay, and the data will be updated. Now let us see this in the action. I hit this API, it sends me status 200 and with a response saying revalidated true. Revalidated true means this particular code was sent to us. Revalidated true over here. Now if I come over here and refresh it, you can see that the new data is coming. Okay, and if we try to see the HTML, you can see that the HTML is updated in the response that we are getting. Right, this is very cool stuff. Now I know that many of you are having a question that, but again, JS Cafe, what is the benefit? You have to manually hit the API when the data is updated, right? No man, no, this is not the case. Now when you know that in the backend services also you can hit the APIs, right? So once you are making a write call into the database, okay, when there is some API, okay, which is accepting some data and writing some data in the database, right? After the data is successfully written, then in the callback you can hit this particular API, right? You can hit this particular API and fetch the data. Not fetch the data, like when the backend service will hit this API, this will tell the front end service to update this particular route, right? But this is not manual thing. Let's suppose you have a blog, okay, and user goes, writes some data and updates his blog. Okay, now on the backend, when the request is coming that you want to update the database, you update the database what the user has typed. Now once that operation is successful, once that transaction is successful, after that the backend will hit this API, okay, and tell the front end of Next.js that, okay, this value was updated, now is the time for you to revalidate this particular page, and automatically this code will run on front end and my post.js will be updated. So there is no manual process in between. Okay, you don't have to manually go every time and hit this. Okay, this is not happening for you. You can go and call this API on the backend and the page will be automatically updated. So this was the power of on demand iSG, and this is These were the all four rendering patterns that we have. Okay, so I basically wanted to keep this rendering pattern series, the examples, as simple as possible, as clear as possible, so that if someone is not having any idea of Next.js, can also understand this particular series. Okay, and this is very important for your interviews as well. Okay, because many times in interviews, and especially in LLD or HLD interviews, you are asked that, okay, how will you render it? And most of the folks are not aware that the interviewer is actually asking you to tell about, out of these four, which one you have to pick for your project. Okay, so be cautious. Okay, think in every video I have explained what are the cases where you can implement these rendering patterns. Okay, think of think before answering in your interviews, and definitely this particular series, this particular tutorial is going to help you a lot in your interviews as well. Yeah, so with this we are ending this rendering pattern series. Hope you liked it. The like target of this video is 50 likes, and if you see that the likes are less than 50, then please go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to JS Cafe, and share this channel with your friends and peers, so that we as a community grow in a very large scale and many people benefit from this channel and they crack their front end interviews. Okay, so yeah, that was all. Till then, take care. Goodbye. See you in the next one.